Quick point. If someone comes up to you and wants to tell you what the best thing in Zombieland is, knock them the fuck out. You don't want the best thing in Zombieland spoiled for you. Trust me. Anyway, at some point over the last decade, zombies joined ninjas, pirates, robots, and monkeys in the pantheon of one-time film and video game cannon fodder turned full-time nerd fixations. Along with a revival in movie interest, this spawned a cottage industry of in-joke books and websites dedicated to mining the cliches of zombie survival for easy laughs. Zombieland is more or less the first film out of the gate to try and put the sub-genre up on screen, following a foursome of human survivors as they wander the requisite post-zombie apocalypse landscape, having glib discussions about zombie survival rules. There's a lot of theories as to why zombies are so popular now, typically grounded in the usual morbid fascination of death reading that needed a new home now that vampires have become exclusively objects of fetish for sexually frustrated novelists. Thank you so much, ladies. Ahem. Well, I've got my own theory. I think we love zombies because we hate each other. Think about it. We all hate somebody. Even if you lie to yourself and say, I don't hate anyone, just think of all the people every day who annoy you, bother you, get in your way, or just plain piss you off. Well, everybody's private hate, annoy, bother, get in the way, piss me off list has one thing in common. They're all people. As such, we all occasionally feel like we're alone among a horde of hostile human-shaped ghouls, and so we pretty much all have, or at least have the capacity to have, that private dark fantasy of grabbing whatever's handy and fighting back against the armies of piss-me-off humanity. But since most of us are sane enough to rely on fiction to satiate urges like this, we're always on the lookout for human villains who are universally hateable enough to make it okay. The Nazis are the all-time champs for this. See also, Al-Qaeda. Aliens and orcs were okay, but they aren't really people, so it loses some of the edge. Ditto for the Matrix's conceit of it's all a computer, so murder doesn't count. But zombies? Zombies are perfect for this scenario. Zombies are just random people on the street under some gory makeup that identifies them as okay to kill. Hence why it's no accident that the greatest of all zombie movies takes place in a mall. Essentially, the zombie movie is the ultimate vehicle of boy versus the world individualist empowerment fantasy. The boy in question is Jesse Eisenberg, as a self-sufficient uber-nerd who never got on with humanity to begin with, and is thus psychologically perfect equipped for zombie survivalhood. In short order, he hooks up with Woody Harrelson in what men of my generation will always refer to as the Bruce Campbell role, and a pair of girls played by Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin. The plan is to head for a supposedly zombie-proof amusement park on the West Coast, and along the way, friendships are forged, and sardonic jokes are made at the expense of zombie cliches and apocalypse survival flicks in general. The film hits its stride big time in the second act, especially with an interlude which, per my earlier warning, will not be spoiled here. The cast has an easygoing chemistry and seem to be having fun, especially Harrelson, whose character could easily be a heroic distant cousin of Mickey Knox, and Breslin, who's proven herself to have some of the best natural timing of any actress working today. And if you're guessing that everything comes down to a big zombie battle during which manhood is attained and badassery is confirmed, well, go give yourself a cookie. It's weird, but this is the kind of movie that I almost feel guilty about liking as much as I do. I should be sick to death of zombies and zombie survival jokes, and I am, but there's just no denying that Zombieland works, like a bad joke that you end up hating yourself for still laughing at. For example, the moment you lay eyes on Woody's character, you already know that at some point in Act 3 he's going to say some variation on, "You go, I got this," and march off on what will appear to be a suicide mission of all weapons, all traps, all tricks, one against thousands, holy shit, that guy really is that good, zombie killfest. And yet, when that's exactly what happens, it works. It's a fucking great scene. In fact, all the scenes you see coming a mile away are fucking great scenes. I don't know, it's like the movie version of watching old comedians at the Friars Club. Everyone's heard the jokes, but the delivery makes the difference. And Zombieland, simply put, delivers. Big time. I'd say this review holds up about as well as the movie does, which is to say really well and didn't need a sequel, which is why I'm putting the sequel review on the end here, which I also think holds up in that I was right at the time about Zombieland not needing a sequel a decade later, but the first one was still pretty great. Yeah, there you go. I'm not sure that a modern movie I actually liked ever needed a sequel less than Zombieland, which was as good as it was in large part because it felt like it was riding the twin cresting waves of the zombie genre's early 2000s comeback and the general optimism of the early Obama era. It was a fun movie about coming out of bad times, alive and learning to party again that didn't take anything about the actual genre or really anything else seriously and moved at a fun, fast clip because it was able to bypass a lot of the setup by playing like an unofficial sequel to dozens of other movies that came before.
And also, I guess more bluntly, it was full of good, then popular things that you hadn't gotten really tired of yet, and now kind of resent, even though you know it's not really their fault and thus not really fair to hold against them, like zombies, stakes-free slapstick gore, fourth wall breaking meta humor, topical and or political humor that SNL would call toothless, ironic celebrity cameos, Jesse Eisenberg. But hey, you know, that does not necessarily mean that it won't work. It could be fun. I mean, it's not, but like, it could have been. Anyway, Zombieland Double Tap picks up now 1 decade into what's now a dark comedy alt history present rather than a dark comedy immediate near future for really no other apparent reason than there not being a reason to do this at all if the whole cast didn't come back and Abigail Breslin has very visibly grown up. As such, her condition drives what passes for an inciting incident. The good guys have been living in the now abandoned White House for a while, but young adulthood has hit Little Rock like a ton of bricks and she's chafing at not being able to at least try exploring the world to look for other survivors her own age. And so, after some other weakly defined tension crops up involving timid character arcs for the other 3 characters, she winds up separated on the road with a dopey hippie en route to a supposedly zombie-free pacifist commune, while the others opt to pursue her using a very vague set of clues and some plot convenience, the lone new gimmick being that during the brief spot of relationship awkwardness between Eisenberg's Columbus and Emma Stone's Wichita, he has picked up a second would-be tag-along love interest in the form of Zoe Deutch as a cartoonishly empty-headed blonde dope. Deutch is a talented comic actress, and that the film saddles her with a stock caricature that was played out long before the first movie was an early sign that Double Tap intends to not really bring any new energy to the table. I mean, you watch her do this bit, and she's not bad at it, but you keep thinking, they can't really just be doing a ha-ha dumb blonde bit like this is a 1994 Rob Schneider vehicle, right? But yeah, they kind of are. Like, there has to be some kind of turnaround where she's more than she seems, or becomes important to the plot, or adds a uniquely missing piece to the group dynamic, and no, she's just that. She's dumb and uses upspeak, and it's funny, haha. Like, at one point they go into an extended riff where she babbles about missing taxis and randomly invents Uber in her head so the other characters can laugh at what a stupid idea that would be. You know, i.e. the oldest, tiredest alt timeline joke format there is, to the point where there just has to be a twist. They can't really be doing this joke, and there is not. And the whole movie starts to feel like that. You just keep thinking, they can't really do the White House thing and reestablish that there was no more president or government after 2009 in this universe, and then not do any jokes about Zombieland maybe being a preferable state to the real 2019, but yeah, that's all left in the table. Woody Harrelson's Tallahassee rants at the idea of Breslin dating a hippie from Berkeley and the gun-free zone commune, and you think, oh, is this gonna get topical? Is this gonna go somewhere? No, not really. Doesn't really go anywhere with that. Mentioned, brought up, dropped. Like, it's a plot point, but does it become like a character thing for him, or make any kind of meaningful joke contribution? No, not really. There's even an entire stretch dedicated to traveling to Graceland, only to find that it's not standing, so Tallahassee can be sad that he won't get to do all the Elvis material he's been setting up the whole movie. And you think, oh, okay, maybe this is the twist, and this is where it's going to become about this not being all fun and games this time, and it's time for a different tone and attitude to the comedy and satire, a whole new Zombieland. But no, instead it turns out there's a different place nearby that has all the Elvis stuff so they can still do all of those jokes. Okay. And that's before the point where it seems like they remember there's still exactly one joke from Shaun of the Dead they haven't done an inferior version of yet, and they decide, okay, we better do that. It's not a complete loss, mostly because the cast still has chemistry and these are funny actors, plus it's always nice to see Rosario Dawson pop up. Even if she's offered so little to actually do, it kind of feels like you're watching another season of Iron Fist. In the end, this is a sequel that doesn't really go anywhere or do anything, and doesn't feel like it has a reason to exist outside of October having open release spots to fill, and I guess someone in the studio having data suggesting that a lot more people than you'd expect really wanted a sequel to Zombieland instead of just watching Zombieland again. So 4 out of 10, not good, but on the other hand, every minute Woody spent making this was a minute that I was not closer to having to watch Venom 2, so thanks for that.